Alright, we're going to talk about clearance drills and counterbores. First of all, I have a socket head cap screw here. I measure the major diameter of the socket head cap screw. It's measuring right at 245, but it's 250 in diameter is what you consider a socket head cap screw, which is a quarter inch socket head cap screw. So what we need to know, I need to be able to take and pass this cap screw through a part to bolt it down to something. Now, first of all, for a clearance hole, you never drill undersized because then the cap screw wouldn't even fit through it. Okay? We're not putting a tap in there or anything like that. All we're doing is we're making a hole for this to pass through to screw it to something. So if I look on my sheet right here, I've got a Starrett card here. It's got all my decimal equivalents and all that. If I come over here and I look and I find 1/4 inch, right there is 1/4 inch. A clearance hole is 1/32 of an inch larger than a 1/4 inch. Because this is going up in increments of 64ths with fractions, I can go 1/64, 2/64. That is a 32nd. So I'm right here at 9/32. That's the size that I'm going to drill for a clearance hole. 1/32 larger than the screw. Right now, we have got a drill bit in here that's ready to go ahead and drill 9/32. 9/32 is 2.812. I can take and measure my drill bit, and I'm measuring there and I'm getting right at 281. Right there, 281. That is the size of my drill bit. Okay, that is 9/32. So we verified that we got the right size drill. We're now ready to drill. You go ahead and you get your cutting speed set like you want it. Make sure your cutter's turning in the right direction to come in. Now we could drill with a little coolant there, wouldn't hurt anything, but we didn't have any sitting here, and I just kind of skipped that. Alright, once we've drilled our hole, we can go ahead, take out the drill bit, and I can now take my cap screw, and you can see that I have clearance around that cap screw. That is a clearance hole. Okay, you should have a total of 1/32 of an inch clearance. That means you've got a 64th on each side of the screw. That gives you room to adjust. Now, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to make a spot to where we can actually recess the head of this cap screw. I'm just going to move my knee down a little bit on my mill. This pilot on this counterbore should go right into and guide in that hole. All right. If I measure the pilot on my counterbore, it measures right at 279.5, almost 280. So it's about 1/1000 or 2 under the clearance hole. That allows this counterbore to guide in that hole and make a bigger hole for the head of the screw to be recessed. Okay? We want this head of the screw to be excuse me, recessed down into the part. Now, the height of the head is equal to the diameter of the screw. So if it's a 1/4 inch screw, the height of the head is going to be a 1/4 inch. With that being said, we want to actually recess that head below the top surface of the part. If we want to recess that below the top surface of the part, then that means we need to go at least the depth of the head. I just said that it is the same height as the diameter of the screw. So we know that the head is a 1/4 inch tall. I'm going to recess the head a 64th lower than the surface. So I'm going to do it like right at 265. Now, you can do it with the quill going up and down, or you can lock your quill and bring your knee up, which is the way I like to do it to hit my depth. I could come up here, and now your counterbore is going to run about half the speed of the drill. It's going to run between half to 2/3 the speed of the drill. I'm going to slow it down to low range here. You always want to make sure your cutter is going in the right direction. Put you a little bit of cutting oil on it. I'm going to come down until I scratch the top of the part. We see it scratched there on top of the part. At that point, I can zero my knee. I zero that out, and now I'm going to crank it. I'm going to crank it my depth. There I'm at 50 thousandths. There's 100. There we are at 200. There we are at 250. Now I'm going 10, 15 over that. Okay. Lower my knee back down. I can take my counterbore out. And I can take my screw and drop it in, and now my head is recessed below the surface of the part, and I've got clearance around it. So there we are.